question. They say religion is a means contrived by mankind to cover up problems that man could not solve, but which, with further advances in civilization, will one day be solved. And so they ask, will religion no longer be needed? Answer: the enemies of the religious life argue that religion was put together as a sort of outpouring of man's feeling of powerlessness in the world, or of his feelings of relief and gratitude when rescued from powerlessness. In summary form, the argument goes like this. Certain natural phenomena proved impenetrable to man's understanding and control, and so he attributed them to a creator. Or, man attached to certain natural phenomena an aura of sacredness, because he derived an unreliable benefit from them. Indeed, he went so far, in some cases, as to defy such phenomena. Thus it was, they say, that the river Ganges came to be held sacred by the people of India, or the Nile by the people of Egypt, and, in different ways, the Kaaba both. Confronted by fearful insecurity in the world, they say, man sought to secure himself by revering and appeasing what he supposed to be the source of his security or insecurity. The division in some cultures of this aura of sacredness between two deities, one good, the other evil, led to the attribution of love and mercy to one and of terror and punishment to the other. The argument carries on to explain in a similar way the concept of hell and heaven, and eventually concludes with the observation that religion became, for the most part, the middle classes of people in society, a comforting illusion, and for the men of power in that society, most especially for the men of religion, a means of manipulating the masses. In short, the opiate of the people. Does this argument have any real foundation? It does not. Religion is not by any means a consequence of infirmity in reason, nor does it depend upon any infirmity of will or fear. Among the meanings of the term religion are obedience, recompense, and a way or path. These meanings are interlinked. The path is the way that leads, through obedience, to God the Almighty. And at the end of life, man will have to render full account of his good and bad deeds, all that he did on the way. In a more technical sense, din may be defined as the whole of the divine law as it guides any person possessed of reason to do good. Just as the law distinguishes a legally responsible person from one who is not, so also the demands of the religious life are addressed to a being capable of reason and not to one incapable. Religion is not there because man cannot reason or because of what he cannot understand. Rather, it is there because, by God, he can reason, and because of what, by God, he can understand. Further, man obeys or disobeys God by exercising his free will. Obedience is required of him, it is not imposed. The notion that religion happens simply because man desires to obtain a good harvest and to avoid a bad one, in other words, simply because he has no choice, no control in his affairs, is utterly absurd. The true religion does not negate free will. On the contrary, it most particularly points out that nature was not created to impose upon man, but to benefit him and enlarge his potential. And it emphasizes that man was endowed with the ability to choose his way by exercising the freedom to do so. They say that religion comes about as a result of defective use of reason. But in truth, religion is primarily grounded in faith. Although it is possible to deduce the existence of the Creator of the universe through an exercise of human reason, such a deduction is bound to be vulnerable and insecure. A sound belief in God is possible only through the guidance of a prophet. Every prophet was endowed with certain signs confirming his appointment by God. In addition to the miracles he worked, The divine scripture with which he was sent is the most significant demonstration of his prophethood. Whether a man lived during the lifetime of the prophet or long after the prophet's death, he is required to follow the book and the prophet in his beliefs and actions. It is not any kind of ordinary worldly power that the prophet thus exercises over his followers. All of the prophets endured extraordinary hardships and suffering, and yet demanded nothing in return. They expected nothing of the world, although they could have acquired any worldly good whatever if they had agreed to abandon their missions. Our prophet, upon him be peace, experienced the beauties and spiritual delights of heaven in his miraculous journey to the divine presence. Yet he chose to return to his people, that is, to return to torment, contempt, and ridicule. He was not a man of pleasures, whether of the body or of the spirit, but one who had dedicated his life to the service of mankind for the sake of God. If the argument that religion comes about to help mankind cope with difficult events or difficult natural phenomena had any foundation, we should expect that religion would be occasional. We should expect that the need for it would arise only on certain occasions, and when the occasions passed away, so would the need for religious preparation or response, until time brought the same or similar circumstances round once more. But true religion, the din of Islam, is not concerned only with ceremonies for birth and death and marriage, or with other rites to deal with crisis points in individual or collective life.